All right, here we are today with a wonderful couple of Dave and Joan, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves and give some highlights of their life, and then we'll just go on from there. So welcome, and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Dave Cyphers. I'm formerly from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Was born, lived and educated in Warrior Run, which is right outside of Wilkes-Barre. Had a very nice grade school there, and Myers High School in Wilkes-Barre was a very good school. So I completed high school there. Pardon?
Navy.
Then I got out of school. The first thing I did was walk around the whole town of Wilkes-Barre looking for a job. There were no jobs. So I happened to go by the Navy recruiting office, and he convinced me that I could get an education and help support my family. My father was a retired with asthma coal miner, and had a lot of lung problems. So that was the best incentive I could find to do right at that time, since there were no jobs. So I went down to the Navy recruiting office and signed up for the Navy, to enlist in the Navy. And it was probably the best thing I ever did. There wasn't that much influence in the town to get a further education. Most kids did not go to school. They didn't even finish high school. So when I joined the Navy, I had a fair amount of aptitude. I did like school, so I was able to enroll in a electronics school, which I was quite fortunate to do. So that started my career in the Navy. I ended up spending four years in the Navy. At that time, I realized I had a reasonable amount of intelligence, and so I got out of the service. I think that's about the time I met my wife, and she was up in Washington, D.C., so I came up here. It was a very nice city, and promptly got a job there, and availed myself of the educational opportunities. University of Maryland was right next door to where we were. I could walk to school, college. So I went on to school. Joan essentially put me through school, financial aid. So I went on graduated from University of Maryland at that time and got a job with a local electronics company. I'm not sure where you want to go with that now.
Okay, well, we'll start with Joan, and then we'll pull you up back together here. Oh, and tell your age.
Now?
Mm-hmm.
80. I was just
No,
80.
no, you just were 79.
Huh?
79.
79.
Okay, that's all right. We're pushing it a little bit. Okay, Joan.
I'm Joan Cyphers, and I was born in Muncie, Pennsylvania. And actually it was during the Depression, and my father lost his job there, and we moved around a great deal. So I can't say that I went to the same school all the time, or we ended up in Scranton, Pennsylvania for quite a while. And then we moved to Washington, D.C. in 1951. Graduated from McKinley Tech in Washington, D.C. And I did not go to college. My father had been killed in an automobile accident. We lived with a cousin for a year till we got on our feet. And I started work at the National Geographic. And then about 4 years later, I was going to Strayer, and I started working part-time at the agriculture department downtown. And I really really enjoyed that. I was in personnel and stayed in government in the South Building there in personnel. I got married in 1958 and was there until our first child was born in 1963. And I did not work again until 17 years later after the kids were raised, and I went back to work.
And how many kids?
We have 3 children, and 2 boys and a girl. And the boys live near us. They're about 20 minutes away, and my daughter lives in New Jersey. So, and we have 4 grandchildren.
Great. And how long have you been married?
We've been married 56 years this August.
Wow.
So, and I'm 80, and I guess that brings us up to what you want right now.
Okay. Well, I've known you from class, from our fitness class, and I've always been inspired by all the activity that you both do and do together. So maybe you could share a little bit about your biking and hiking and.
Well, I can tell you how that really got started. I think that Dave was biking first. I did have a bike. We both had bikes as kids. But he was biking with a friend, a local friend in Bowie, and they would go 30, 40 miles in a day. And then when we retired, we both decided it was something that we could do together and have the same interest in. And so I got a bike and I started biking, and for a while we went with the Wayfarer Club. We would, bicycle in New Jersey, we would bicycle to Pennsylvania, different places together. And we even, at one point, went overseas on a barge. That was one of the best trips, bicycle trips. And we biked in Amsterdam, and that was delightful. Then somehow I think Dave was interested in kayaking. We got into kayaking, and I found that I had a lot of stamina to kayak. And he was amazed at that, and so was I. So we both enjoyed that. So we have been kayaking and bicycling now for, since 1994. We've been doing that together, and we really have enjoyed it.
That's great.
We both have always been active and enjoyed keeping fit.
Right. Well, then that brings us into our fitness class.
Mhm.
And what would you say are the benefits that you've experienced for yourself of exercising and staying active?
Well, I when I was young, I worked on a farm most of the time in the summer, and hard physical work, so I didn't mind that a bit. And while I was in the service, I could see getting a little flabby and a little off, so I don't quite know how we got started on the bikes. So we had one, or do you remember?
No, I don't.
I think there was some friends around that
This is
had
excellent.
friends, so I got a bike, and she said it's quite easy. We thought it was easy. We had been fairly active. We danced a lot and everything else, and so I got into biking, and then with a group, and not finally, but pretty soon Joan wanted to go too. She was almost burdened with some kids, I guess, at the time, but she did get away. So that's how we really got into biking. I did a lot more seriously than she did, because she was somewhat housebound with the children. And it was I was working pretty hard and studying both. So it was a good outlet for me to get some relief. And we just continued it until today.
Good. So how has exercise played a
Okay.
part in your lives?
Yeah.
Exercise to me, for a while there, after we retired, I wanted to do a little more to keep in shape, to keep limber, because I really felt I could see some of my friends that were my age that couldn't even do what I was doing, and I thought, gee, we need to keep this up. So we enrolled in a class. I guess it was through Prince George's. It was kickboxing, and I think there was a dance step she did. I don't know, but one year, I guess right after you started your program, we came back from Florida, and some friends said, "Oh, you have got to come to the fitness over at the gym." That it was just great. And I said, well, we'll have to try that. So that's how we got started with you and your class. And I actually found your class so it just covered everything, the whole body without hard impact. And that the stretching and all the things that we did were really helping me feel so much more agile and better. So from day one, we never went back to the other class. We just enjoyed this so much. But it's important because I don't feel a bit my age at all. And I think it is due to the fact that I have been exercising all these years.
Right.
And keeping active.
And it's nice that you all come together.
Yeah.
When you,
Yes.
so that's
Yeah.
another thing that you can share. To me, that says a lot about your relationship. And you mentioned dancing. You dance and
Yes.
hike and bike and
Yeah.
exercise and.
I think one other thing about your class, Nancy, I was working full-time, going to school almost full-time, a three-quarter credit program. So your program was one avenue where we could fit it in with her work and as busy as I was, studying and working. So it was a good time of day, and it just worked out fine for us,
Great. Now,
logistically and everything else.
All right, Dave, I know that you've been challenged with a lot of issues with your body. What motivates you when you hurt or when you struggle? What motivates you to keep coming to class?
Well, I wouldn't say I was an athlete at all when I was young. I worked physically hard on the farms, but I wanted to stay active. I felt a lot better. And what was your question again? Well,
Well,
Well, I think what I'm going to aim at is what kind of advice out here would you give to somebody that's still at home and not getting out and doing any kind of exercise? What do you?
I don't know how you what you could do to motivate. I mean, you got to be almost self-motivated. But early on, I was in the bike club, and I want to get back into that when I had the problems. And that's what kept me going. I had a stationary bike at home, and did some walking, and
Great. So you think it really does come from within?
oh yeah, I would say definitely. I never was an athlete of any type, but biking and dancing, and we did like that together, and well, we just found something that we liked.
I think part of it, Dave's whole problem actually started with a fall on the bike. He broke his hip. He went over the handlebars, and after that, and he was only about 58, 59, and he really he made up his mind he was not going to let that stop him, and he got back on the bike and worked hard to continue doing what we had done before. And he's done that just about, because since then, of course, he's had, arthritis, he's had stenosis in the back, he's had back surgery, And both of us have had surgeries. I've had knee
That's right,
surgery.
you've had the
I've
knee
had my
surgery.
right knee replaced. But both of us are determined to stay as active as we can. Because, well, you feel good about yourself when you do this. And it keeps you going. And,
I'm so desirous of getting back to be more active that I'm looking at a recumbent right now. Recumbent bike.
That's right. That's
which,
great.
Which they're bears, but the doctors don't want me to fall again with this neck business. So the only resort I can think of is a recumbent. So that's what we're exploring right now.
But
Joan,
again, there's that drive coming from
Yeah.
within to
Yeah.
want to continue. So what you're looking for a solution. How can I continue
yeah,
to stay active? That's wonderful. That really is wonderful. So let me ask, what do you attribute 56 years of marriage to?
find it such an understanding woman.
No, don't. I think this. I think that whenever there's a problem, I find now with the young people, if it doesn't work right then, they're done. You have to work at marriage. It isn't, and anyone who says that, oh no, it's just wonderful every day, no. You do. It is a give and take and concern and understanding for the other person. And I think if you have that and you really want to make it work, every marriage could work.
That's
I think we were not hit with, but exposed to quite a few trials, not major trials or anything, but things that would test a marriage to some extent. Not really serious up front, like infidelity or anything like that, but we've both been stressed a little bit with things and weathered those all right. They weren't big enough to upset anything. So I think that was a little bit of education in what a marriage is. It's not all roses. And Joan had lost her mother and everything else, and I was away from home a lot with the service and everything. So we had some exposures that made us think for ourselves and realize we had to fend for ourselves on a lot of things. And I think that gives you some
right.
backbone or whatever you want to call it. And that life is not a bed of roses, as she implied, if you're not exposed to anything like that. So I think that toughened us up a little in a lot of ways. Personal
Right.
tragedies and family tragedies.
Well, it's always nice. I can see even just coming to class how together you all seem to work together, which is
Yeah.
really
That's part of
inspirational
what
to
you
me.
learn with
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
relatively minor trials, but
You
still
help
they're
the
enough to
animal.
make you decide whether you want to deal with this together, and there's always going to be problems.
Right. Now, I think in some of our other interviews we've talked about the aging. You know, what it means to you, where you are with it, if you have any fears about continuing to age, just where you are with the whole idea of aging.
I would say in the last 3 to 5 years, it's concerned me quite a bit more because I can see physical manifestations of the aging process, and I seem to be accepting them all right. Just kind of everything diminishes somewhat, but I'm not really upset about it, primarily because people like you keep us going. There's always some incentive out there and a way to do it, so that's been a valuable resource to us to say, well, look at those people in Nancy's class, or whatever. There's always somebody out there doing as good or better than you are at things, and I said, well, why can't I? I don't have any major ailments, so, and then the attitude that you do want to keep going. You don't want to give up. So that's.
So you're saying one of the benefits of exercising or being in a class is just having the support of other people that are in
both your
the...
marital support and the classes, yeah.
Right.
And associating with people that you say, well, if he can do it or she can do it, I'm going to do it.
All right.
A little bit of competition. We're not competitive in the least, but it's incentive, I guess, if anything.
Yeah,
Right.
it is incentive.
Great. How about you, Joan? Where are you with the whole aging process?
Well, it is what it is.
It is
No,
what it is.
I don't, I'm not worried or concerned about the age. I wanna try and stay as fit as I can because I know that, you know, I think that is what will give me longevity. And enable me to stay active longer if I continue.
Right.
And there are days when I wake up and I just soon roll over and go back to sleep. But there's never been a day that I haven't gotten up, gone to class, and come home feeling so much better and so glad that I did get up and go to class.
Great.
And it really means a lot to me. Because I feel that without that, you just aren't motivated enough yourself. You know, you mean to, but you aren't. And this way, it is there and established and waiting for me. It's up to me to get there.
Great.
And that's how we both feel about it. And of course, you know, yeah, that goes without saying, that you're an excellent instructor too. That
Thank
keeps
you.
us involved and wanting to come, so.
Now, you hear me talk a lot about holistic lifestyles and you know, having a balance in your life, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Lean over.
What does that how do you find that in your life? How do you find that balance?
Well,
I'm not sure I'll answer that. Well, I would say spiritually is probably the least important to us as far as going to church or being very religious. But I like to feel that we're respectful of everybody's religion and their individuality and aspirations. But it's, I often think about it. I think maybe, I wouldn't call it spiritual religious, but I think we follow the golden rule, if you want, or whatever, just because society has, and the people we deal with and live with, interact with, we respect a lot, and they all have standards that we admire. And so we're not going to sully ourselves being any worse than they are or anything. So I think the word, I can't think of a word right now, but seeing them and wanting to be like the people we respect, you know, minimum profanity, even down to that level, and that's what we use as criteria. We'd be embarrassed to go below that level.
Right. And you, both of you, seem to be very caring and generous people with your...
That's another aspect. I have a lot of respect for other people. Worse condition or better condition. I think that helps a lot to treat everybody.
And mentally, do you still keep up with readings and things that you're interested in, and
we do.
mind games?
Now, for the past 3 years, Dave has been diagnosed with hardening of the arteries. And it is, the short-term memory is really pretty gone. And thank goodness we both enjoy games, so many times instead of television, we'll play cards, we'll play Scrabble. We do both read. We enjoy reading very much, and do things that will help keep the mind active, because the only thing to combat that is 81 aspirin and prayer. I mean, you can't do much else for hardening of the arteries.
Well,
So-
my kids were a big help too, but they gave me a whole sheaf of mental exercises.
All right.
Books,
and,
word search, this type
Oh,
of thing.
good.
You
They're,
know.
they're
Good.
right in there too, you know, pitching in he'll bring me a sheaf of them up, maybe $50 worth of books, but I work on those, so.
Wonderful.
But the kids are cooperating, and they're very appreciative and patient with me. I've never said a word of any kind.
So it's been very helpful
There's
to
family
have
support,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have a great circle of friends, and so we're very fortunate, really, because our lives right now can go on pretty much just as it has in the past. If he forgets something, well, we'll remind him or tell him, and
Yeah, they're right there if we need them.
yeah. So, everything, we go dancing every Friday night that we can, at the Moose. They play our kind of music, 50s mostly, and, so we really, I feel that we're very fortunate and are enjoying our lives right now.
I think we were weaned on the Polish culture up there with the polkas and everything. That was our first exposure, really. That was the most fun, much fun.
Well, that's really great, and I will say that you all have been and continue to be a wonderful inspiration to me, and I'm glad that we could share this interview, and it'll be shared with others and bring inspiration to them. So thank you, and do you have anything else that you'd like to
No, I don't.
put
So-
out here? But it's nice to see folks that are happy and working at being happy and really being with each other. So
I can see compensating factors coming in that I don't know how to address that, but I can see things deteriorating somewhat, but there are compensating factors, the kids being one of them, you know, pitching in. But these books, there's a lot of things out there if you avail yourself of them that can offset some of your perceived or real failings at an older age.
right. Well, very good, very good. Well, I thank you, and we'll probably be back on for another conversation. Okay, thank you very much.
I think the latest hurdle is that
Yeah.
damn recumbent bike.
Can you